here at the world-famous Tosca Cafe with Will and Willie, the Will and Willie podcast, and I'm Paul Wells. Jeanette Etheridge, the fine proprietor of this establishment, just handed us an original Coke bottle. If you looked at the last episode, we talked about the formula, but this is not the original Coke. They didn't have these kind of ingredient labels, nutritional facts back in the 1890s.
That is cool.
But I heard a story about how they wound up bottling Coke because it was served at soda fountains. And this guy went to the president of Coke, got a meeting with the president of Coke, and he said, I have 2 words on this piece of paper here, and it's a business idea for Coca Cola, and I will show you this if you sign this agreement that if you use the idea, you pay me $1 million, which was a lot of money in 1890. And if you don't use it, you don't pay me anything. Fair enough, the president of Coke decides. He signs the deal. The guy slides the piece of paper over. He turns it up, and it says, bottle it.
Bottle it.
Bottle it.
That's all it said.
That's all it said.
Bottle it. I know that story.
They didn't have
It was
any sort
only
of bottles?
available at soda fountains.
But they didn't have any bottles?
Nobody tried to bottle the carbonated beverage yet.
It said bottle it, and
$1 million?
Something like that.
Or whatever $1 million
It was a lot
in
of money back
1899,
then.
yeah.
Right now, we
was a-
sneeze $1 million
it was
every
a dumb
second.
idea, though. It was a dumb idea. He should have said, you pay me a penny.
Percentage, yeah.
Yeah,
For every bottle
in perpetuity.
in perpetuity.
Every bottle you ever sell.
Or a tenth of a penny.
But then he
A
would have
tenth
had
of
to
a
have told them it was a bottle.
Bottle it. And that is exactly the way it happened. And he started to bottle it, and its headquarters has never, ever left Atlanta. It was Georgia where all of this happened.
Exactly.
Never, ever left. But that's a funny-looking bottle.
That is.
You know, and I want evidence that that is the original bottle.
That is way cool. I didn't even know they made these.
Isn't that
I mean,
cool?
I have the little 7 ounces. You know, this looks like it's almost 12 ounces.
Yeah.
I have the
It's a
little-
real cool little bottle.
Doesn't say.
Now,
Should say
it's
something.
interesting. We ought to try to find out what year they went to the bottle
The green
that's
bo-
kind of the shape.
Yeah.
You know, the one that's
The
really
green
shapely.
bottle.
The
Well,
one
no,
that,
this one is green too, actually.
the one that has a figure.
Yeah.
It's like the figure of a woman.
It is.
Yeah. A full-figured woman. That's what that bottle is. Which, you know, made it easier to
And
sell.
speaking of Sarah Palin,
I know, Will, you've been anxious to get
Well, the
to the
thing
vice
is,
presidential
you know, we're
part
so
of this.
us political comics and editorial cartoonists and all. We're jonesing because as of today, it's 120 days before George Bush leaves. 120 days. So we're going through a lot of stories here, and she's kind of like methadone. She's pulling us off our cold turkey. She's got some great quotes already. The fact they asked her about the words "under God," which are in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1914. "Under God" was inserted during the McCarthy era, 1954. And they asked her about the words "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. And she said, if it's good enough for our founding fathers, it's good enough for me. showing a bit of unfamiliarity with the subject.
Well, she couldn't even answer the question about what the Bush doctrine is when it was softballed to her by Sean Hannity.
No, but she was at that one.
By Sean Hannity or Charlie Gibson?
No,
Afterwards?
she got to go on Sean Hannity, and he mostly attacked Obama during the interview. But there was no
There's no such
cognition.
thing as a Bush doctrine, though. There's
The
no such
preemptive-
single thing as there are a whole lot of Bush doctrines. And so Charlie Gibson was doing all of us a disservice when he allowed himself to be viewed as trying to trap her. You don't need to trap her. Just let her talk. She will do just what she did with reference to under God. If just let her talk, she will demonstrate an emptiness that is not redeemable at any checkout counter.
Which is why they haven't allowed her
That is exactly right.
out on her own. She's being paraded around like a little pet pony. She goes with McCain everywhere. Because McCain, on his own, gets about 7 or 8 people. So he actually
And she
had
draws.
35,000 the
She
other day.
draws just as her attractiveness for crowd purposes is equal to that of Obama's. And the only way you avoid the comparison between McCain and Obama and crowd draw, is you have her as part of McCain's operation, and it gives her, and they give her all, she, by the way, doesn't need too many little glib lines. That's her whole life. She's been that glib line person. Nobody has ever looked at the content of those glib lines, though, and she's been able to get away with them. For an example, when she was asked the question about did she ever meet any foreign leaders, and she responded by saying, in the history of vice presidency, most of them never met any foreign leaders before they became the vice president. Well, she obviously had no idea that Gore was a U.S. senator, that George Bush I was head of the CIA and high up in government for 100 and so many years, that Geraldine Ferraro was a congressperson who apparently had met it, that Walter Mondale was in the same category, that Hubert Humphrey was in the same category, that Lyndon Johnson was in the same. I don't know any vice presidential nominee. Maybe even Dan Quayle had met folk before.
Well, I don't know.
Well, he may not have remembered it. But even Dan,
been able to spell their name, yeah.
Even Dan Quayle. And she got away with that because he didn't follow up by doing just what I did. He should have gone back and said, now, wait a minute, just a minute. Cheney was vice president. He had met everybody on earth before he became vice president.
Well, he was Secretary of Defense.
That is correct.
Right.
And Al Gore was the other vice president. He had met everybody on earth.
Well, he was a senator for quite a long time.
Quite a long time before he became
2 terms, I think.
2-term Vice President Clinton. He's just gone backwards. I mean, just one after another, and it would have exposed her in a way.
Well, there's so
that
many
would shaken
questions
her confidence.
that he didn't hit her on. Like, he, did you pause at all? Did you hesitate at all? Ask when he, believing that you were going to take this job, you were offered the vice president. Did you hesitate at all taking it, thinking that you were qualified? You don't blink, Charlie. You don't blink. The hell does that mean, you don't blink? That means, we get another knee-jerk cowboy president. Or just like in the Bush. She is Bush in high heels with lipstick. Oh, I got a joke I can't tell you. I'll tell you afterwards. Yeah, it's
I love Obama's attempting to be Will Durst.
Oh, the pig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except that he should have referenced it. As great as he is, all he had to say was, I recall when Hillary's health care measure was identified
By McCain.
same way.
As putting pig on a lipstick on a pig.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times. And he said, and in that regard, McCain's programs and policies deserve the same description. They are the same as George Bush's. It's like trying to put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig.
He did come up with a great line last week, and it obviously been reworked. He wants to dismantle the old boy network, which should be pretty easy because all he's got to do is call a staff meeting. That was pretty good.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. But in all, she is, I think, less than qualified to be.
He met her once. He met her once before picking her as VP. I mean, to get a job as a busboy these days, you got to go through 3 interviews, for crumb's sake.
Well, I think he was mistaken as to what he was asking her to do, or she was mistaken as to what he was asking her to do, because he met her at Tosca's in 20 minutes and they left together.
Yeah, she was on top of his MILF list. Is probably what happened.
That trick never works.
And my guess is it wasn't the vice presidency.
They were talking about. It was a different position altogether. Sorry.
But she